Meet 37-year-old Mike Vestal, screen name Mike Vestal 69. He tells the decoy, "I must warn you, I am kind of big down there," and asks her if she wants to see. Then emails her a picture of his genitals. They make plans to meet, and he says, "You might not want to be with boys your age when I get done with you."
I made us some frozen lemonade, and I got the hot tub started.
But he won't be getting into the hot tub today.
So did you bring your swim trunks?
Nope.
No. What did you bring?
Nothing.
Why'd you come here today?
It was stupid. I should have known better. She's a baby.
He says he really wasn't going to do anything with her. His chat log seems to say otherwise.
You say that you're a pretty normal, horny old man, and I would love to make wild, passionate love to you. I'm trying to understand why you thought it was a good idea to come over here to visit a 13-year-old girl.
I don't know. I wasn't thinking.
You sent this picture, right?
Yes.
And that's you?
Yes. It's not something I would have normally done. I should have known better.
He seems to think I'm a cop and even tries to bargain with me.
I know what the law says, but I'm really hoping for a warning.
So you think you should just get a warning?
I'm begging, please.
Well, there's only one warning I can give you, and this is it. That I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on adults who solicit minors online for sex.
I have nothing else to say, except, world, please forgive me. It was stupid.
He makes his way out of the backyard through the garage. The police are waiting to arrest him.
Turn around. Put your hands behind your back.
He's taken away in an unmarked car and brought in for questioning.
Why did you come to the house today?
I was bored at home.
Yeah. What was some of the things that you discussed?
Oral sex.
Oral sex? Anything else?
I think that was it. Maybe a massage.
Did you send any photos to this person?
One of my private parts. I'm digging myself a hole, aren't I?
He insists that he would not have had sex with a 13-year-old.
Of my marriage, of my life. I don't deserve any of it. Meaning my life, my wife.
How long have you been married, Michael?
13 years.
Our next speaker is Sean Michael, mindset coach, and he's going to be teaching us how to stop being nice and being not nice instead. So let me get out of the way and let him say that. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Michael. Glad to be here, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Some of you I've gotten the chance to speak with, and hope in future breakouts I'll get to speak with more. But I want to start with a simple question. How many of you would say you're a nice person? Feel free to put yes in the chat. I'm going to stay engaged with everything so that I'll look at those later. I imagine most people would say yes, but what would you say if I challenged your long-held belief that being nice is the right way to be? That this cultural norm and societal pressure to be nice all the time is a good thing? What if I said that trying to conform to this ideal is what keeps most of us from living bold and authentic lives? It starts in our childhood, right? Our parents, our teachers, everyone around us, they teach us, they influence us that you should follow the rules, you should please others. It's the way to be, it's the way to get reward and connection. And we learn that those who color outside the lines are certain to face hardship and negative results. Through this, we become conditioned to avoid risk in order to gain that approval. We hide our true selves so that we can fit in. I love the quote by Dr. Seuss when he says, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?" And another from P.T. Barnum, who says, "No one ever made a difference by being like everyone else." Maybe you've heard these, maybe not. But either way, do you believe these at your deepest levels? Or are you following your condition? As we get older, the message continues. It tells us that putting others first is noble, that it's making our own needs a priority is selfish. So we bury our needs. We silence our unique voices, like Courtney was talking about. Instead of making the world better, excessive niceness actually causes more problems. It breeds passive aggression. You have people living with no boundaries, and it enables the bad behaviors. Rather than pursuing our passion or fulfillment, we stay silent just so we can keep the peace. We can be good. It's no wonder that so many people feel lost and adrift in life today, because they're living inauthentically as an extra or supporting actor in their own story. I know I did throughout my childhood. I kept quiet and did exactly what I was supposed to. As an adult, I often got walked over or called the nice guy, while everybody else got what they wanted. They got the girlfriends, they got the good jobs, etc. I said yes way too much, and I felt terrible for it. Instead of speaking up about my feelings or desires, I kept my head down, people pleasing, suffering silently and alone. This left me empty and unfulfilled. I had a life, career, and relationships that were nothing or that were mediocre at best. It took a major life event to alert me and to get me to reevaluate my ways. Now, I'll show more on that later, and I'll also share how I practice not niceness today, and how everything is much better because of that. And my hope is that you will approach what I share with an open mind and a heart. I know this is controversial, and it's probably going to ruffle some feathers, but I'm not asking anyone to be unkind, arrogant, or even rude. You can advocate and speak up for yourselves and others without going down that path. So where does the disease of niceness come from? We can all likely recall how we were taught to stay quiet, not show our feelings. We might have heard, children are to be seen and not heard, or I'll give you something to cry about. I know I did, among other messages that taught me the same. And in school, the students who received the most positive attention were the nice ones. The rule breakers and the nonconformists, they faced consequences. All of this causes us to internalize an idea that blending in and being compliant, well, that's the key to being liked. Anything else, like making waves, it's going to lead to being ostracized. As adults, the words change, but the message remains. We hear, don't be difficult or demanding, keep the peace, avoid conflict, don't shine too brightly. It's arrogant and selfish. Don't say no or set boundaries. You might upset someone. These messages continue to lead us to stifle our originality and our true selves, to bury our desires so that we maintain harmony, acceptance, and approval. Like I said, this breeds problems. Your needs go unmet. Your boundaries get blurred. That leads to resentment. It leads to anxiety because we're constantly holding in our true feelings. It can even make us passive aggressive. We let destructive behaviors go unchecked since we don't speak up. This can lead to burnout, unfulfillment, because we're constantly self-sacrificing or even living in martyrdom. Rather, whoa, too far. Sorry. we become trapped in a cycle that serves no one. Rather than voicing our needs or desires, I just did a nice thing too. That was bad. I shouldn't have said sorry, but I do apologize. We follow expected norms. Time and time again, I've done this, not voicing my feelings, my needs, or desires, which allowed bad actors to use me as a proverbial doormat. It left me feeling unworthy and resentful. Despite overwhelming misery, I continued to say yes. I bowed to the needs of everyone else. I avoided confrontation and conflict like the plague. I gave and I gave and I gave, with little to no expectation that I might receive even the smallest recompense. My life was reactive. I felt empty in relationship, career, and life. It was just an empty shell. You see, this nearly bankrupted me emotionally and almost killed my 20+ year marriage. My wife fell in love with another man, and that nearly broke me. But it did cause me to stop reevaluating myself, my life, to stop people pleasing, to stop ignoring my needs, to stop letting people break my boundaries or not having boundaries at all. It's taken time to embrace this idea of not niceness and to create change. It isn't easy to go from a peacekeeping people pleaser to setting healthy boundaries and saying no. I've found that as humans, we tend to swing from one extreme to the other, and that's exactly what I did. At first, I was angry all the time, and I acted quite selfishly. But today, I'm learning to be more balanced. I'm practicing some of the following. Speaking hard truths with compassion, setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, skillfully standing up for myself or others, making self-care my priority over simply pleasing everyone, saying no, especially when it's against my values. And finally, pursuing and realizing ambitions and impact by taking bold risks. These steps have brought me here today, allowing me to share the lessons I've learned and hopefully save you some of the pain I endured. It was scary at first, but with practice, the confidence and the motivation to boldly step up has come. I'm healthier. My marriage and relationship with my son are way better. But my favorite part, the spark of life is burning brighter. Saying no more enables me to show up more authentically for my family, the world, and anyone who's listening. Every little step got more confidence, I brought more joy. I even found that creativity and passion, which seemed to have been buried or lost, have resurfaced. Now, this has taken compassion for myself, compassion for others, looking for mutual understanding, not just venting, picking my battles carefully while keeping the ethics, seeking win-win solutions. You see, by practicing not niceness with principles, I've found an open door to authentic, courageous, and joyful living. I've gained my voice, and so can you. Together, we can speak up for the people and the causes that matter to us. Now remember, embracing not niceness is not a license to be reckless, rude, and selfish. It does require thoughtfulness, compassion, and integrity. Here's some guidelines for your practice. Step 1, check your motives. Is this for your personal growth, or are you just trying to wound somebody? Step 2, pick your battles. Is this the right place and time? Step 3, consider the context. Is this a situation that needs more tact or restraint? Finally, stay kind and ethical. Look for the solutions, not the punishment. When this is all done correctly, you will build healthier relationships, and you'll learn to mix ambitious not niceness with service and a win-win mindset. It takes practice, but with that practice, you'll gain more confidence and the ability to switch between niceness and constructive not niceness more easily, depending on the situation. You can be a bit more provocative, disruptive, or assertive, and therefore provide the highest contribution without being less compassionate. It will take courage and conviction, but I believe you have it. Let's find the freedom to be our authentic selves, expressing every aspect. Niceness can be wonderful. So can not nice. Let me reaffirm that being overly nice is not noble or beneficial. It just brings resentment, those unmet needs, and bad behaviors. But aggression, egoism, and insensitivity aren't the answer either. We must integrate compassion and conviction. I hope that you reflect on your own life and where you might integrate some creative not niceness so that you can live into your higher purpose. The world needs more bold and courageous people to share and speak up for the progress of all. It's okay to rock the boat once in a while. Someone somewhere is waiting to hear your message, your voice. Let me close with a quote from Brené Brown. She says, "Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disciplining others." In one of the breakouts or the time afterwards, I look forward to questions, discussions, talk about how you have or how you might practice not niceness. Thank you everyone for your time, openness, and attention.
Let's give a warm welcome to Sean Michael, a beacon of hope and empowerment. Sean, welcome.
Thank you, JB, and glad to be here with everyone. So let me jump right in. Picture this, a world turned upside down where the very ground beneath you crumbles with every step, where the future is like nothing more than a distant dream. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my life 15 years ago. Let me start by saying that I am very honored to be on this virtual stage with these other talented individuals who, like me, are passionate about touching lives and unlocking human potential and growth. Today, I come before you not just as a mindset and accountability coach, but as a storyteller with a tale of triumph over adversity, of resilience in the face of despair and overwhelming odds, and of hope that refuses to be snuffed out. On a dark day more than 15 years ago, I made choices based on years of neglect, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse, and the negative beliefs built that nearly destroyed me. You see, I got caught up and I got caught in a trap that's called To Catch a Predator on NBC. My decisions got me arrested, sent to trial, and pleading no contest on the advice of my lawyer. In the aftermath of it all, I was riddled with shame and guilt. I even considered ending my life under the immensity of it. But in the midst of this, a tiny glimmer of hope flickered, a whisper of possibility that wouldn't be silenced. I was shrouded in darkness, but I was thrown a lifeline. My wife of 15 years and my amazing friends pulled me out of the pit by the grace of God. Because of all this, I made a choice and was given the support and strength to take those first steps to redemption. Working with my counselor and a Christian 12-step program, my hope grew, and I was able to process and heal from all that had come before. And I learned key lessons, which have become the cornerstone of my coaching philosophy. The foremost among these lessons was the power of resilience, a power that was beautifully articulated by Nelson Mandela, who said, "Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and I got back up again." What I learned is that resilience isn't about avoiding failure, but rather learning to embrace it as an essential part of the journey. In this crucible of adversity, I also discovered the transformative power of mindset. something Viktor Frankl taught me. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedom, to choose one's own way. By building a positive mindset, even on the darkest of days, I gained the courage to keep moving forward. But the most important thing I learned is the profound importance of accountability, the importance of surrounding yourself with a tribe of similarly minded individuals who have committed to supporting, challenging, and empowering one another. By holding myself, you yourself, and others around us accountable, we can build a framework of excellence that will enable us to walk into the light and achieve our greatest potential and aspirations. So you might wonder, how was I able to find the strength to keep healing, growing, and moving forward in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds? Well, it was learning the practice of gratitude, a practice which has allowed me to find beauty in chaos, embrace the blessings all around me, and to cultivate a mindset of abundance in what seems like scarcity. Gratitude is powerful, but it wasn't enough to sustain me on this difficult journey. You see, it was the power of connection, of reaching out and being vulnerable that gave me the strength I ultimately needed to press on. Brene Brown says, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. I have found that by opening myself up to support, accountability, and encouragement from others, that I can tap into a wellspring of resilience already within me and within you, just waiting to be found. It's this resilience that sustains me even today. I stand before you all today as living proof that no setback, no failure is permanent. Regardless of how dark the night is, the dawn will always break, and with it, promises of a new day and another chance to do things better. May my story inspire you and stand out as a testament to the indomitable human spirit, one that refuses to be broken or defined by circumstances. And I stand here not as a finished product, but a work in progress, an ever-evolving, growing, and striving human spirit moving towards fullest expression. Let me close by imploring each and every one of you, listen to the call, that call inside you of your inner champion. Embrace your journey with unwavering courage, faith, and unyielding determination. Winston Churchill says it perfectly. Success is not final. Failure, not fatal. But the courage to continue is what counts. Let's all continue to forge ahead, defy the odds, and write the story that is uniquely ours. Thank you so much for your time and attention. So I dropped, starting tomorrow for the next 5 days, my 30-day guided journal, Stronger Every Day, will be available for free on Amazon in Kindle.
Wow. Okay.
I'm offering a 1-hour breakthrough call to anyone. It might go to 2, but it'll be powerful. I promise you that. And I also linked my contact information, which has all my socials. So glad to be here and share. This was powerful.
Welcome to the High Performance Interviews. Today I'm joined by Shawn Michael, all the way from Guatemala. Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you, Lucy. Very nice to be here today.
Amazing that you could join us. Thank you so much. Now, before I ask you to share your story, what I'd like to do is just give our audience a little taster. So you're about to hear Shawn's journey through neglect, abuse, and arrest to finally rebuilding from the inside out. He would have given up if not for the love and support of others. In spite of the continuing consequences of bad decisions and the weight, he rose up above it all. He found his purpose, and through coaching seeks to help others. He has published self-development journals, giving people the tools that he used to transform. Now his passion is to empower others to pick up the pieces, to unlock their potential and align with their values, and importantly, to take action. So I'm going to ask you, Sean, because there's a lot more to that story, to share some really important moments in your life. And I know we've spoken before, but obviously our audience has not heard about it yet.
Picture this, a world turned upside down, where the very ground beneath you crumbles with every step, and the future seems like nothing more than a distant dream. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my life about 15 years ago. Today, I want to come to you not only as a mindset and accountability coach. My passion is about touching lives and unlocking human potential and growth, but also as a storyteller with a tale of triumph over adversity, of resilience in the face of despair, and overwhelming odds, and of hope that refuses to be snuffed out. On a dark day, more than 15 years ago, I made choices based on years of neglect, sexual, emotional, physical abuse, and the negative beliefs that nearly destroyed me. You see, I was caught up and caught in a trap called To Catch a Predator in the US on NBC TV. My decisions got me arrested, sent to trial, and pleading no contest on the advice of my lawyer. In the aftermath of it all, I was riddled with shame and guilt. I even considered ending my life under the immensity of it. But in the midst of all that, a tiny glimmer of hope flickered, a whisper of possibility that couldn't be silenced. Shrouded in the darkness, I was thrown a lifeline. My wife of 15 years and amazing friends pulled me out of the pit. And by the grace of God, because of all this, I made a choice, and I was given the support and the strength to take the first steps to redemption. After that, I worked with my counselor, Christian 12-step program. The hope grew. I was able to process and heal all the junk that had come before. And I learned key lessons which have become the cornerstone of my coaching philosophy. These included resilience, the power of resilience, mindset, accountability, which was critical in my recovery, and ultimately gratitude. Gratitude, a daily, regular practice of gratitude, gave me the power and strength to take each step forward in spite of the odds. So that's a little condensed version of my story that I'm sharing with you. I recently gave a talk on the full story. It is available on YouTube if you care to catch it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure. And just going back to a few of the things that you were saying there, because you clearly went through a really, really bad time and you'd hit rock bottom and you thought this was going to be it. This was going to be life over. That's it. But what you pulled from that was you had people around you that cared and loved you and wanted you to recover from that and helped you. So if there's somebody out there listening who is in that space, what would you say to them to help them at this point in time?
My first thing that comes to mind is never give up. I've learned through my own journey, and I've heard it several times, that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It's not the answer. It solves nothing. But reaching out to those who love you, who are around you, or even a willing ear can be the first step towards hope. and never, ever give up that hope.
Mm.
Because I hope my story illustrates that there is no too far gone. There is no too far down. All of us can pull ourselves back up with the help of others.
Okay, and what if somebody is saying, I don't have those people around me. I don't have that kind of community. I don't have that kind of support. I'm here, I'm alone, I'm on my own. Nobody cares. What could they do then? What might be a solution for them?
If the situation is dire, I would definitely say there are many suicide hotlines, websites that will anonymously provide support. I heard one of my friends, and I believe I say the same thing. If someone came to me in that state and says, I would tell them, look, all I ask, I can't stop you from doing it. I hope you don't know that. I hope you don't, but I can't stop you. But give me a call before you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all about human connection, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And understanding that you can talk and the other person is listening, and that might be the first time that somebody's actually listened to you in a very long time. And that can just help. That can be one tiny step up.
It can be that glimmer of hope that I mentioned.
Yeah. So you come through that. You came through all of that, Sean. What happened to you after that? Because you said there was still stuff going on. There were still things recurring from bad decisions you had made. How did you pull through those?
As I shared, is learning the power of resilience and gratitude and accountability and holding to my support structure
Mm-hmm.
and even strengthening it. Some of the continuing effect, because of this arrest, it put a label that is nearly impossible to remove. And because it was a TV show, it had national publication. There are websites that speculate others' opinions of what happened and who I am. And although some sites are disappearing because the internet isn't forever, sometimes things do disappear. Generally, we say the internet's forever, but it goes away. I've been harassed. My wife's gotten messages from random people. Don't you know who you're married to? And she thinks, well, yeah. We just celebrated 31 years, so I think she knows who she's married to. My mother-in-law gets random phone calls because of it. And she just says, click, you know, like a telemarketer. And because of that, because of this fear of being authentic and sharing my story, I've had a lot of fear around it because of this situation, that it's there for anyone to read. And people make judgments based on what they read on the internet.
Yeah, sure.
Right or wrong, they make judgments. So I actually had to pull the draw to be a coach, to help other people 7 years ago. And because of my fear, because of worrying about, well, who's going to listen to me? That still some lingering beliefs like, nobody's going to listen to me because of my childhood beliefs, and then throw this on top of it. How could I do that? Nobody's going to talk to me. And so I gave it up 7 years ago and did other things, you know, to support my family.
Yeah.
The end of 2022, I couldn't deny it anymore. So I made a decision to pursue my dream, to coach people, to reach higher heights, to have more joy and peace and love and everything in their life, the life they want, an intentional life. And then the dragon reared its head again recently. I gave a speech on a virtual summit in January, which I had a client call me and take a free gift coaching session. And it was a powerful coaching session. At the end, she's like, okay, how do we work together? And I told her, and she's like, okay, great. Send me the invoice. We'll get started next week. I got an email from her. You could have told me, you lied to me, you didn't tell me the whole story. You know, you didn't tell me why you left the US or why you left Belize, which none of that is true, but that's what she believed. And so I can't work with you. And instead of reverting back to the old way of, oh, forget it, I can't do this, because of the strength, the resilience that I built one brick at a time, making my way to be, I'll just say, unbleep-withable. I know by hiding my message, I'm not hurting me. I'm hurting others. I'm limiting others. I'm taking away, I'm depriving others. Because one person might hear my story and go, oh, whoa, if he can do it, maybe I can too.
Yes. Yes.
And so then I had a virtual talk in February, and I decided, I wrote a speech, you heard part of it today, to tell my story, to be out there, be true. My wife had a panic attack over it. She's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. So I think it's a great lesson. Often our biggest fears are just up here. They're not real.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. When you step into that fear like you just did, and you told your story, A, you were being totally authentic to you. B, you're the only one who knows the true story. So this is it, guys. This is the true story. But also you hugely lent into your fear that had been holding you back to a certain extent still. But then you just went, no more, not doing it anymore. I'm stepping into that. Stepping over that line, take a deep breath, and you did it, which is fantastic. It's incredible. It is a gift to others because they will be sitting in that place of fear as well. There will be somebody listening to this who goes, wow, yes, maybe I could do that as well. Maybe I could. And if you are that person sitting out there and listening, then you can get in touch with Sean. We will put the details below. So now, Sean, you also spoke about resilience. You also spoke about gratitude. Share how gratitude has helped you through and help pull you back up again.
What I learned in my life is when we focus on the darkness, the negative side, like, oh my gosh, I'm permanently labeled, I'm, an internet pariah. There's an old saying I've heard, many have heard it, what we focus on grows. It's not even like we think we're like, oh, I'm just going to dwell on this negative. No, we think we're just stating facts. Like, that's a fact. It's a fact. But we're actually setting ourselves up for trouble, I would say. But by changing my perspective, and instead of looking at everything that I might not be able to do or that I didn't have, and focusing on what I did have, I had my wife still with me, working through stuff between us, helping her work through her childhood burdens, etc. It's watch her bloom and blossom into this amazing woman. And 6 years ago, we had a son, something that we didn't even think was possible because we had 24 years of nothing, thousands of tests, thousands of dollars spent at doctors and testing and treatments and nothing. And at the age of 48, I learned my wife is pregnant, and now we have a 6-year-old boy. And so just by expressing gratitude, at first it started small. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my son. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that I have a house to sleep in. I'm grateful I got a good parking spot at the shopping center.
It can be really
I'm
small.
I'm grateful that my legs work when I don't get the good parking spot. But as I did these little acknowledgements of the things that I did have, it grew as well. I started noticing more and more things to be grateful for. And it gave me strength instead of, and it erased fear.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Because some of the things I was afraid of, when I learned to be grateful for the things I had, it's like, why was I afraid? Like, that was dumb.
And then if you're focusing on what you have, you get more of it. And when you get more of it, it fills you up and you get more joyful. And you spoke about joy as well and becoming more joyful in your life. And so now you've lent into that and you've not allowed experiences to take you off the track again, if I can put it that way. It sounds like you're very much more determined and you've got an inner strength. Would you say, how does that, and a mind strength? So talk to that.
Negative thoughts are a reality of life. We all have them. In fact, we call them ants for automatic negative thoughts. But by taking the steps to ask, I love it. I just got the book from my son by Dr. Amen. He gives 2 simple questions to ask when one of those negative thoughts pops up. 1, is it true? 2, are you 100% sure that it's true?
Oh, like it.
And if not, then you say, bye-bye. Like, you don't belong here. Like, move on. March. The song, the childhood song, the ants go marching one by one, kind of comes to my head. Go marching on now. You're not welcome here.
And they do go marching on, right? When you say that, you acknowledge that the thought's there.
Right. You can't deny it because you can't ignore it because the more you ignore it, the more it will bug you.
Yeah. And then you ask those 2 questions and you go, no, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, off you go then.
Because we have to battle against the natural tendency. The way I heard it is negative thoughts are like Velcro, or like those little things that stick on your sock when you walk in the field.
We call them sweethearts in the UK.
We call them cockleburrs.
Okay.
One of them. There are many, many of them. I live in Central America, so I learned all kinds of new ones that will stick to you. But this is negative thoughts in our brain. If we don't act against them or deal with them, they stick. And positive thoughts are like Teflon. If we don't grab a hold of them, they'll slip away very easily. So we kind of have to take the action, pull the burrs out, get rid of them, and grab a hold of the good. So that's where the gratitude really helps, because you're grabbing hold of the good and you're picking the burrs out. Like, nope, you're not true.
Like that visual as well. Okay, so with your journey now, you are out there, you're helping to coach people, you're speaking on stages, virtual stages. And where do you feel your journey is going? What's your vision I know you want to help people and help them to pick up the pieces. Is there a greater vision that you have, Sean, for yourself and for others?
There's something I read in a book once called a B. It stands for big, hairy, audacious goal. And I've settled on my BHAG is if my work can help move the needle to lower male suicide by 1%. I know 1% doesn't sound like much, but when we think of 80% of global suicides are men,
That's huge.
it becomes much larger.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So with your coaching, I know you spoke about possibility of coaching a woman. Do you mainly focus on coaching with men? Where does that lie?
My target is men, because as a man, I can speak from the position of understanding more deeply his mindset, his thinking, his way of thinking, his experiences in the world. I can coach women, but only to a certain point, because there are deeper things that a woman is better suited to coach over. I was always taught in college counseling classes and all my training, don't be proud, know your limits. And, if I don't fit you, then I got other coaches I know that I can refer them to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's understanding where your genius lies almost, isn't it? Knowing
Yes.
that is my area of genius. I can go this way and this way a little bit, but I'm not going to go completely that way. And, and we were speaking before, it's like the same for me, for women. I'm exactly the same. I understand a woman's perspective, what she's been through, challenges that a man can't possibly understand because they can't have gone through the same sorts of things. So yes, I can coach men to a certain stage, but I definitely focus on the woman's side. So totally understand what you're saying about going with that feeling that you have and the knowing that you have of where your skill set is and your expertise because of what you've been through yourself. So that's amazing.
And I also feel that myself as a man, going to a man as a coach, I'm in many areas, I'm more willing to open up and be vulnerable.
Interesting. Yeah.
Whereas with a woman, I might be like, I'll share this much, but only up to here. Like, I can't reveal that to a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Especially with a culture in the world of boys don't cry, man up, and this. So yeah, it causes men, again, I think most of it is up here. There is the influence, but then we get stuck in this belief, like I can't reveal my true self because then I'll be less of a man. As you might say, that's utter rubbish.
Utter rubbish. It's totally the opposite. It actually makes you
there is.
more. Sorry.
I love the work of Brene Brown, who spent years, decades researching human vulnerability. I have a good quote. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It is having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
And that, when we can open up and be truly vulnerable with another human being, a trusted human being. I want to put that in there. You want to make sure it's a trusted person. The connection depth will blow your mind.
Oh, yes. Yes. because they feel you. They really, you've gone to your heart, you've gone to that place. And that it's an energy transference, isn't it? It's that you're transferring
really is.
yourself to them. And it's like, oh my gosh, I receive that. Wow. And you'll find, I'm sure, that then the person you've spoken to, if it's a one-to-one, is much more likely to open up to you, Sean.
By being open and by being vulnerable, we give the other permission to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And to know that it's a safe space.
100%. Wow. Well, this has been fantastic. I've had so much insights. I'm sure our audience has absolutely loved listening to you. And if you would like to just give some tips or if somebody's out there and they're really struggling, I know we did that kind of a little bit in the middle, but if there's anything extra you feel that that person might need to hear, then please do share.
I am a strong believer that even if we think there is no one that would care, or especially when we think that no one cares, I promise you there is someone that will care. Look for me, Sean Michael, Coach Sean Michael. You can find me on all the social media platforms by that name. Reach out to me in confidence, in anonymity, and share. Because too many people lose their life in this way. And we have to change it.
Yeah.
So if I can be your lifeline, reach out.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So please do that if you're listening and you're wondering, shall I or shan't I? Just do it. Just step into that fear if there's fear around it. Look into the description box. You'll find Sean's details below and just take that step because it's important. It's important to both of us, and it's more important to you that you take that step. So thank you again, Sean. It's been a very serious interview, but it's also very, very important to get these sorts of things spoken about. So I really am so grateful that you've come on here today and joined us and taken time out of your business. There will be another video showing up on screen. So if you want to hear more and listen to more, please hop over there and I'll see you there. Thank you again, Sean, and thank you all for listening. Take care.
Hey everyone, Sean Michael here, part of the Momentum Makers Group Visibility Challenge. A couple days late, but at least I'm getting it done. As I said in the live call, my personality is an entertainer, so getting in front of the camera is not an issue for me. But what I do struggle with, or I have struggled with, is what we all know and love, good old imposter syndrome. So let's talk about that. Have you ever felt like a fraud? Wondered if you really belong, or are you just fooling everybody thinking you're competent? And this feeling plagues a lot of us, even those that we would call successful. You see, I remember many times when I shared knowledge or an idea, and internally I was afraid, like, what? Nobody's really listening to me. But later, afterwards, someone has several times come to me and talked about how what I shared helped them in some way or impacted them. And additionally, I'm guilty, like so many, of comparing myself to others, like AG or other coaches that might be more successful than me. But through the moments like these, over time, I've really started to realize that I do have value to add. But even in the face of that, it's still an ongoing struggle for me. dealing with imposter syndrome. But honestly, bit by bit, I'm overcoming it. And I just want to share that the antidote to imposter syndrome is just do it. Put ourselves out there, share our ideas, be vulnerable in a community, a supportive community like we have here. Leaning into mentors who can see the potential in us even when we can't. You see, when we're seen for who we truly are, we begin to believe it ourselves. And as Andrea Gibbons says, the most dangerous thing a person can do is ask, do you see me? But the most beautiful thing in the world that can happen is someone answers yes. May we all have the courage to be seen, and imposter syndrome be damned.